let's start with Vanguard newspaper this morning. Well, look, this picture gets me much more than the headline. Of course, the headline is important, but I love this picture that I see right here on the front page of Vanguard newspapers this morning. And so, permit me to just go ahead. Osimhen Oshoala win CAF award. So, Nigeria ruins. CAF royalties, they are on the front page of the Daily this morning. The male footballer and female footballer of the year, both of them flying the green and white flag. So we'll look at that as well and the implication it has on the country's football. Good to see this. It's that kind of thing that put smiles on your faces, isn't it? So, oh boy. So that right there is very good optics, especially this festive season where you want it all to be nice, lovely, smiles everywhere. But there are no smiles now for those who are going to the banks, because banks ration cash as naira scarcity intensifies. Vanguard reports this morning. POS operators hike transaction fees. CBN suspends charges on large cash deposits. About time for that one. I think they're reviewing previous policies in piecemeal, just gradually approaching them and taking away some of these impediments, as it were. But for POS operators to hike transaction fees, you then ask yourself, so what is going on with all of these things? Well, so that's a big one on the front page of Vanguard here today. Of course, they've got several others, but I'm going to leave it here with the Vanguard today.
I'm a little spoiled for choice now. I mean, there's that picture also on the front page of Leadership, but this is a very pressing one, and I think it goes to highlight even further what Ayo was talking about earlier. Health sector crisis. Nigeria to lose 500 consultants to retirement, brain drain. That's according to MD Khan. I'm looking at the front page of New Telegraph for you. That's something really, really, really bothersome. If you've ever been in a difficult health position and you've had to see a consultant, you know the confidence that it gives when you're seeing a consultant, and you know how scarce, how much more scarce they're becoming. And you have a consultant for every single ailment, every single part of your body. And if you're going to be losing 500 to retirement, brain drain, even if you poured in 50 trillion naira today, you cannot get consultants in 1 year. It takes time. It's something that takes time and effort and energy and willingness on the part of people to learn. It takes years for people to attain the status of consultants in the health field. So this is something really to bother us, and rightfully so. It's making headlines on the front page of New Telegraph. Nigeria to lose 500 consultants to retirement, brain drain. Don't you think we should extend their retirement ages? I mean, if we're doing that for judges, and we're doing that for every other cadre, professors, why not doctors? Well,
food for thought.
It's just that the doctors too are looking forward to retirement sometimes. I mean, it's becoming quite a real chore. When you see or anybody who has trained to become a doctor and is working in a government hospital, you really feel sorry for them. They don't have any hours of rest. Their hours are so unpredictable. People are working, really long, gruesome hours because of the shortage of medical personnel. And, may God bless their sacrifices. But I think that this is something that we should consider an emergency. Says sector lost close to 1,000 consultants in the last 5 years. Warns of bleak future as staff strength halved, hospital units closing, quality of patient care reducing. This is something to really, really bother us. I'm very bothered.
And rightly so.
I'm very, very bothered. Page 4 is where you'll find details of this. You also have a number of other stories right here. Nigeria thrown into darkness as national grid collapses again. Well, you would have thought Rivers would be on the front page this morning, taking over all of the headlines. But interestingly, it looks like they've just put it in one corner. It's going to make front page, but no, you're not our major news. That is indicative of something, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you see here, Rivers crisis. Fubara holds emergency meeting as 27 lawmakers dump PDP for APC. Call Wike to order, Clark tells Tinubu. You find details on pages 2 and 31. And I'll take this last one. CBN faults negative reports against banks. Says lenders healthy. Cautions against MPO's activities. Orders suspension of cash processing fees. So you find details on pages 3 and 25. That was only bright part in that entire thing that they released yesterday. But just in case you're wondering, there are a number of abbreviations there. I can tell you what CBN is, Central Bank of Nigeria. CAR is capital adequacy ratio. So they say there's no problem with that. Rest assured our banks are healthy. How can it not be? All that fat profits they're posting all the time. Let's leave it there for New Telegraph.
Well, you forgot to mention something at the bottom of that page. The study says pastries can slow down blood flow to brain. That's a New Telegraph. You want to say something?
Well, yes, indeed I am going to say something. Parents, be careful about the pastries, the measure of pastries you put in your children's lunch bags. Well, it's a mixed bag that is on the front page of Daily Independent this morning. And I'll start with the not so nice one. Job losses put contributory pension scheme at risk as 475,230 job losers withdraw 208.86 billion naira pension funds. That's a stark reality right there. The other day there was a story on one of the front pages of the mainstream media about Nigerians now resorting to quick loans to meet immediate needs, not long-term needs, not to fund businesses, but just to make ends meet. Quick loans. That's a very unpleasant reality. But the reasons are not far-fetched. Headline inflation rate going well above 26%, food inflation being even worse. What choice? What options do Nigerians have? I hope Mr. President is listening this morning.
When we talk about these things, can we, for God's sake, the president or the federal government have their problems. How about the states? Have we reviewed the numbers in Sokoto State, being the state with the highest population of multidimensionally poor people?
Poor persons.
What is the governor of that state doing? What is the governor, just how many days ago, or how many hours ago, we got this news that the Borno State governor launched 107, vehicles and all, just to palliate their people, in the light of what's happening in the country, and several other states in the north and in the south of Nigeria. What are the governors doing? Yes, the president, you got your work cut out for you. But how about, so does every state governor in the state. We're talking about local government administration. Mark is talking about us losing consultants. Those are probably at the secondary health tier of the country. How about the primary healthcare system?
Well, if you ask me, all of them have a commitment to the social contract, and they all have questions to answer, whether at the federal level or at the subnational level.
They have a duty. Do they have a commitment? They have a duty.
That's a question we should ask.
Okay.
Are they committed? Okay, let's look at some other stories now. Northern reps to spend 350 million naira on bombed Kaduna community. Pleasant one there, but after the fact, after more than 87 lives have been lost. Budget is asking some questions this morning. Budget raises questions over 2024 budget, calls for urgent review. And just one more before we exit Daily Independent. There's no plan for increase in tax rate that's ascribed to the federal government. So pleasant news for manufacturers and indeed the generality of Nigerians. But until that is seen in the viability of the economy, Nigerians will keep waiting, I guess.
Well, even if it's pleasant news for manufacturers, how about farmers? That's what you have on the front page of the Nigerian Observer this morning. And it's the story, it leads and reads thus. FG blames Emefiele's Naira redesign for farmers' financial woes. Okay, granted. So what next? Government is a continuum. Now that the blame has been assigned, and Emefiele didn't just come out of anywhere, he was governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The federal government has inherited the assets and liabilities of its predecessor.
Add to that, Ayo, we have a substantive CBN governor. We should be answering questions about why Naira scarcity is persistent, especially in the last few days. So, we require answers in that regard.
So that's the lead story of the Nigerian Observer this morning. Above the nameplate, Obaseki pays December salaries, pensions, and guess what? Look at the rider. Workers expect 13th month package.
Amid all of this, it's good to hope,
Classic case of Oliver Twist. Well, that's the story right there. The story is on the front page, and right beside the nameplate, CBN suspends processing fee on large cash deposits. That story is on page 8. You may want to check the inside pages of that paper, the Nigerian Observer, for the details of that particular story. What does that mean? Processing fees on large cash deposits suspended.
Well, it would seem to me, a temporary solution to a bigger problem. The question is, what's happening, to the printing of Naira, such that we can have a surfeit rather than a deficit in the bank, reserves. Why is it persisting?
Okay.
What's the policy response of the Apex Bank to all of this?
That's one.
It's persisted for much of the year, and it's needless.
That's on the one hand. On the other hand is the fact that the federal government through the CBN has, since I think 2012, been pursuing this electronic banking scheme for Nigerians over the years. How have we been able to scale that up to the point that we still, such that even now we're still crying that there is less cash in circulation, almost 3 trillion or thereabout in circulation, and we're still complaining that we don't have enough. There are questions to answer. But however, that electronic banking system that the federal government has been pursuing since about 2012, how come it is still so base, so to speak, that Nigerians are asking for cash withdrawals or cash transactions in physical cash?
Perhaps a good measure of Nigerians still do not trust the system and have not taken up, banking. That's another question on inclusion. What's the CBN doing to get the unbanked into the system? Even
though they championed that also for so many years. Well, that's the Nigerian Observer this morning, and a look at some of the papers today. We're back right after now, and of course, the burning issue. Stay with us.